Already?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Orcocast. Well, Lord Well doesn't know the camera runs.
How do I know? That's more important than anything else. How do I know? You come in there.
This is an episode where Lord Well doesn't understand what clear the mic means.
All I think of is how do I look on the camera? Okay.
You look fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I don't have any qualms that the ladies will fall for you. Yeah, in this episode we are not only going to have a few laughs, but we will also talk about Desperados III, Dragon Quest Builders 2. We will wage war on the video game industry by talking about some really nice dumpster fires that happened, the Atari VCS and Crucible unreleasing. Gentlemen, I'm gonna start with Desperados 3. Anybody heard of it?
I watched you play it, yeah. And
Yeah,
I
I
played
know.
the old games.
Nice.
Not me.
Not you. So, Desperados is a real-time strategy game that is heavily focused on stealth. So you have basically a bunch or a group of people.
Mhm.
Each one has their own unique abilities. So you have one guy who can kill as the only one a certain type of enemy.
Uh-huh.
The other in stealthily, I want to say. The others can't. They have to shoot them if they want
Okay.
to. Or you have one guy who can distract the enemies. You have the female protagonist who can dress herself up as other characters and distract the guards. Stuff like that. So each one has their own unique abilities. And all these abilities factor into doing your missions. So the missions take place on large maps. What you have basically is like take out 5 of these guys to make the goal. You have also side missions, yes. Something like, okay, you have 3 people running a town basically with an iron fist, and you have to take each one out. Yeah? However you do that is up to you. The way you go, the way you find, however you want to do it is up to you. Interesting part is you can make it look like an accident for everyone. There comes the challenge, and what you want to do is you want to make it look like an accident for everyone so nobody gets suspicious, right? So you have to work your way around the map, find everything you want to find or need to find to complete your goal, and then make it look like an accident. And combine, obviously, the abilities of your characters together to achieve that goal. It's a very interesting concept. It's a very old concept that has been around since the 90s.
Yeah.
If everyone remembers Commandos. Yeah, and Desperado 3 is basically like it, just in a Wild West scenario. And Desperados was the answer to Commandos back in the day. Just Wild West again. And yeah, it got a sequel, like 20 years after the last one, or 15 years after the last one.
Why not?
I mean, they could have done nothing better.
To be honest, it's not a big deal. I don't think, if you like it, if you played, those type of games before, it's a bit of a, come back to those type of games. I mean,
yeah.
It's
I mean,
always great to have those games, isn't it?
Yeah. Plus, I think it's also a testament to how well the formula worked back then. If it still works now, it's a really good design.
Yeah. So for me personally, it works well. I like it a lot. I like the game a lot. I think they did a really good job in capturing the spirit of these games. And like I said, if you're into these types of games, it's a must play, I would say. Bam Bam brought up a valid point while I was streaming it. Issue is that safe spamming can guide you basically through the game. So you just click save or quick save and quick load, quick save and quick load until you get the solution for the puzzles. But the game gives you an option to mitigate that, and you can set yourself up for a nice surprise and just say, okay, I just can only save 10 times per mission.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, because I think like save scumming makes anything super like easy, because eventually you'll get it. Like, you don't force yourself to think about a situation. That's why I liked say the older Hitman games, usually to get like fully through and get the best result. If you make a mistake, you usually have to restart and do the level from the start again, just because it forced you to learn and see the patterns and stuff like that. Whereas, if you can save scum, it's like, well, just throwing, whatever on the wall and see what sticks.
So, and during the missions, you can complete various challenges, like speed running a mission, complete it in a certain time, or do the side objectives, everything, and you get stars for that. And apparently, if you collect enough stars, some bonus missions will unlock.
Oh, that's cool. You don't see that often.
So there is even endgame content. And so, like I said, if that sounds good to you, just take a look at it. It's well worth it. It's on PlayStation, on Xbox, and on PC. It's not just a PC game this time. Exactly.
Just thinking how well it controls with a controller.
On a controller, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be difficult.
I've seen somebody play it on a console. He didn't really struggle with the controls, so I think it might even play well.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Be good then.
So that is my take on it. Bam Bam. Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yay! Bam Bam is a big baby. No.
Yes, we all know that.
Yeah. It's a sequel to a game I enjoyed thoroughly. I think it's 2017, 2018, Dragon Quest Builders. It's essentially, I kind of hesitate to call it a Minecraft, but essentially it's a Minecraft-inspired game where you're a builder, essentially a take on the Dragon Quest hero from the RPG series, but instead of being like a warrior of whatever force of light, you're a builder the only person essentially who can create new things and come up with new things in the world. And you're trying to save the world from whatever force of destruction they force on you this time. So I'd say, if you want the most simpler description of the game, it's a Minecraft game with story and purpose that also guides you through all of the mechanics. Here it's partially, it was introduced in the first game. Here it's much more of a bigger part of the game. It's essentially a small, I would call it like a village management, because you recruit your villagers, you build them their rooms, and rooms are what they are your facilities, meaning like you can build a bedroom, a social room, a bar, restaurant, a kitchen, and each of your villagers will take part in that, meaning like some of them will cook, some of them will tend to the bar, some of them will become miners when you build a bar. So they will go and passively accumulate like ores, stones, resources. So it becomes much more involved than in the first game, because in the first game that didn't exist. Like, the rooms were there, but the villagers wouldn't take part in most of these things. Like, none of them would actively go and cook. So you would have to like make everything yourself. Here you can partially automate everything. And it's also a much bigger game. I think the first game took me like 10 hours to finish. I'm in this about 20 hours in, and I'm like 2/3 through the game. And it's still a similar pattern here. You always go into a new place which you have to build up, learn new recipes, and then move on into a different one. And the first game had it segmented into chapters where you would always start from scratch, and essentially all you carried over were recipes or blueprints. For the new one, what they did is you have different islands instead of just teleporting into different kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
So here you have an island of awakening, which is your main island where you unlock new sections as you go through different one-off islands. And each island has a different story and is focused on different things. Like the first island is all about farming. So that's new thing as well. Farming, you weren't able to grow crops in the first game. Here you can grow vegetables. There's even later on farming animals. So they add a lot more stuff into it. But at the same time, I think they're losing a bit of focus. Like what I liked about the first game, it still felt like a Dragon Quest game.
Mm-hmm.
It still felt like I was going, through an RPG story, but in a different type of game. It wasn't a flat out RPG. It was a bit of a Minecraft builder game. Here it's just the Dragon Quest Builder 2. It leans way more into the building aspect, and I can see why, because every time you load up the game, when the game loads up, you get pictures because they added a social aspect to it. So you get pictures of like people post snapshots of their own creations,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see people getting really into it. So you have some like really cool player creations, which you now can go and visit. In the first game, you could just send blueprints to other players, and they could build your blueprint in their world. Here you can actually join and play co-op and build stuff together. So they did expand the game, but they also, as I said, lose a bit of what made it unique in the first place for the first game. They lose a bit of that Dragon Quest spirit.
I would say it's more like, excuse me, it's more like the game evolving a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's leaning into a bit of a different direction than the first game.
Yeah, I just need. I think it just happens on every single game. Every single game will end up, kind of like quote unquote evolving and becoming something different. We say it more often than not. That's why I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
To see that.
No, I mean the thing is, it's like I kind of miss the more Dragon Questy approach to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still a really, really well done game. Like I've played it essentially. I think there was just a single patch, and the game like runs smooth. I haven't encountered any glitches.
That's great.
So, and it's a big game. So I think that was the most surprising. Essentially, like with a single patch, essentially everything's ironed out. So that's cool as well. Because in the first game there was like issues with sometimes I would clip through the world.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious, but at the same time kind of annoying because you couldn't.
It was broken, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit broken. Here with the new one, they really polished that out. I like some of the quality of life improvements.
Yeah.
So when you finish a story island, you get to unlock an essential explorer. They call it, I think, Explorers Adventures Islands, where you can find specific things off of a checklist. And once you fill one checklist, there is a resource attached to it, and you'll get unlimited supply of that resource. So you don't. So once you get through the game a bit and unlock these islands, you will have a chance to essentially unlock unlimited supplies of some of the basic resources. So you don't have to go around and it's like, oh, I need stone, and you don't have to go out and collect like 3,000 stone if you want to build something. You actually get unlimited supply of it, which I think it's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
And it's not mandatory. It's an option island. You don't have to, like, if you don't want that crutch, you can play without it as well.
It's a quality of life feature, basically.
Yeah. They also give you this is what I love. This is my favorite feature. They give you a giant, enormous inventory. It's like a 5-page inventory.
Oh,
So you don't have to worry about that.
that's one thing I miss the most on most of the games now.
Yeah, it's like it's so good that you don't have to I don't have to dump everything out every time I go like on like a big mining spree.
Mm-hmm.
I just 5 pages of stuff that I just collected. I'm like, great, I don't have to stash it into a chest.
Yeah.
Because weirdly enough, chests have still like limited inventory space, so you can't put everything into a chest. So it's good that you have to get sack. That's like essentially bottomless.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a cool thing they do. Like whenever you go to a new story island, they won't let you take that like the contents of that sack with you. It stays on the main island, and you go with an empty inventory into a new story island. So you can't cheese it that way, that you would bring like resources and stuff into a completely new scenario.
Makes sense.
So that's good. It's still like designed by Akira Toriyama, so it still looks like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Quest.
Mm-hmm.
The story seems to take a bit of a more like a twisted turn, where now the builders are bad, but in the first game they were the saviors. Here they're bad, and you also get a permanent companion in Malroth, who seems, I think the game's essentially pitching him as he's going to be the big bad.
Yeah.
It's a kid's story, so it's like it's super obvious. But at the same time, I think they're gonna twist it again that he's gonna be friend. The game sometimes gets super heavy, or like it's pitched as a kid's game, but at the same time there's some like adult humor. And in the first story island, you unlock one of the character dies at the end, and it's like, I was just like collecting poop 10 minutes ago, and I'm gonna have to deal with this, right?
I mean, it sounds quite interesting. I mean, how long is the game? How long is that game being in the works for?
I think it released last year.
And how long did they work on the game for?
I think it's been like at least 2 years.
2 years on the game, brother.
Yeah. Because I think
like some games, like some AAA games, would have as polished, system, because there is so many that still struggle with, inventory, like blah blah, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they took a lot of the feedback from the first game and just build up upon it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it seems like the way this game is steered seems it's catering to the crowd that was really into the building and wanted more complex stuff in the sequel. So they add like water physics and stuff like that as well into it. You get new ways to traverse the environment, whereas in the first game, essentially all you could do is build a bike.
Okay.
Here you get like a car and you have a parachute. Essentially, it's like it's not a parachute. It's essentially a wingsuit, so you can glide through the environment to make it easier to get through. You also don't have to craft. You used to craft chimera wings, which is a thing from the Dragon Quest RPG series, which were used to. You could use it to teleport to the last tavern you used.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can teleport to your village and several like hotspots on the map, just free, essentially for free. You don't have to craft anything. You just have to find that place.
Essentially, it's just water it down a little bit, making it easier, more accessible for everyone.
Yeah, it seems like it's a bigger, more accessible game that has a lot of cool quality of life features added to it. They're completely optional. If you don't want to use them, you don't have to. I would like this is definitely, I think, a game for someone younger or people who are just big Dragon Quest fans and want more Dragon Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's still like, even if they lost some of the Dragon Quest stuff in it, there's still enough in there. There's like the unique like Dragon Quest flavor.
Yeah.
That you just can't get anywhere else. So
I played Dragon Quest like ages ago.
Ago.
It's an absolute brilliant game, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a chance, definitely play Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah.
That's like one of the best Japanese RPGs we got in ages. But yeah, I think there's a demo of Dragon Quest Builders on PS4 and PC, so you can give it a go, see if you like it.
Definitely, Orco is not up to date on these games. So, I'm moving. Which one is the next one? What are we talking about next?
Well, I think we just need to get into the nitty gritty of things and talk about a game that has released not too long ago. I think it was in May. And it's not the culling, but I have an explanation why you didn't find it on the Xbox store. I think it's just on the Xbox. So you can find it on the Xbox itself, but not on.
So it's not the Xbox Game Store, which is also on PC. It's just on the console.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we are going to talk about a game that released on May 21st. Was called The Crucible, which I find a questionable name to begin with.
Yes.
Because if you Google Crucible in
search you get, which game?
Yeah, it's Destiny 2 that you will find.
People still care about Destiny 2.
Oh.
Yeah, no, but it's
first thing, that's actually right. What Orko is talking about. If you type on Google Crucible, the first thing you're gonna see and the first like 5 lines you're gonna find it's gonna be the Crucible of Destiny. It's the PvP thing. So it's kind of like it's very questionable that you go for a name that is already quite famous.
Yeah, isn't their MMORPG called just the New World?
Yeah, that's the next game.
I think they're going to need someone like new from their like franchising department.
I think they need somebody who names their game better.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
I'm gonna work on like a horror game. I'm gonna call it just The Spook.
Spook.
And I mean, it's kind of it's a good game. Carry on, Orko.
By the community, it was received very middling. I remember when it started, it had like mostly negative reviews on Steam, but those were only like 30 reviews. The press wasn't too keen on it either, and currently it's sitting on a 65% on Steam with 63 reviews, so it's mixed. And the game did so well, they unreleased it and pushed it right back into closed beta. What they want to do for the future, they want to focus just on one of the game modes, which was basically some kind of spin on the MOBA genre, which was their most successful game mode. I don't know, Heart of the Swarm or whatever it was called. Heart of the Hive, Heart of the Swarm, whatever. This is what they want to focus on. And the game had the issue that it was incredible unpolished and incredible unsatisfying to play.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it. I did, so I can't confirm or deny it. But I personally just strayed away from it because it looked weird.
Yeah, I think I've seen someone comparing it essentially being like an Anthem PvP, and everybody knows what happened to Anthem.
Anthem went so well that EA just wrote it completely off.
Yeah, because I know weren't they supposed to do like an Anthem 2.0?
I think that
they are working on it, and I don't know why you guys. I think Anthem was a brilliant game. I disagree with you guys.
The thing is, it's like Anthem.
I'm the positive guy of the group, though, but I think it's a brilliant game.
The problem with Anthem was it would have been a good game, but it was completely mismanaged. Like the content wasn't there, the rewards for the content weren't great, and when like they didn't listen to the community at all.
Mr. Batman. what did we talk about last week? We actually mentioned that last week on the previous podcast. The say who was the guy who mentioned that the AAA games are not viable anymore? Someone mentioned it. I think it was from Ubisoft or something. The AAA games are not like they're not viable anymore for
Yeah. I think
That was Sony.
that was ex-Sony executive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a Destiny-like game. It's just I don't think people are playing those games. Not anymore, but it's kind of like a game that needs to be updated constantly. A game that needs to have so much into it.
Yeah.
A game that needs to have like so many weapons, so many gear, stats, mods, a million other things, plus content, plus a roadmap, plus updates,
Yeah.
plus a million different things, an end game. I don't think even 5 years is enough time to make those games anymore. I mean, if that game, if I would say, if Anthem released at the time of Destiny,
Yeah.
we will have an absolutely brilliant game right now. The problem is, what happened is what we saw on Destiny. Destiny didn't release at the start, like on Destiny 1 didn't release like kind of like the biggest game, and kind of started evolving into, well, what we all know, Destiny 2, and it flopped massively. But that was all from Activision, which we all know that Activision was forcing Bungie into making a new game to sell more games and make more money and blah blah. We all know that. It kind of like evolved into a game that at the point where Anthem released, Destiny already was a almost fully polished game with endgame, with a million things going on, blah blah and whatnot. And then you release the game, when the Division and Anthem are up here, and then you release the game like how they were like 5 years ago. Man, that kills your game. I think the problem with a game like Anthem was timing. All the games, every single game, World of Warcraft, one of the biggest game probably in my opinion, the biggest game in gaming, the entirety of gaming. That game is still going strong after 15 years, and you have to pay monthly for it. It is a game that evolved. For Warcraft at the start had nothing, no, like it only had a foundation and five. I mean, it had a lot of things, but it was evolving continuously, and they were adding things, and they were adding. The game was not like fully polished from the get go. Those kind of games, AAA games that require a lot of time investment and money investment, require to be launched into the public. Those games are not going to be finished. Not a chance a game like that is going to be finished, because it's a game that you are meant to be evolving internally playing. How many people you may have on your studio? You may have like, I don't know, 200 people on your studio, editing, making the game and whatnot, and they are the ones testing the games, because obviously you can't have your game thrown into the public, because otherwise everyone would know about it. There will be no hype, and there will be no money, no sale, and we don't know what happens after that. So all those AAA games, evolving games, always are released not fully finished, not fully polished. And I think it's just Anthem came too late. It's just the game was really, they were very ambitious with it, but it didn't evolve into it was released just at a time where the two big ones, which were on that regard, which were the Division and Destiny, were already flying. They already had in game. They already fixed issues. They already have issues still as of today. But at that point, they already like polished out the game, and the game was both of the games were kind of like doing well. Then the game comes out, and they hyped it up big time. BioWare hyped up the game so massively, like they have to, because obviously we don't know who the publisher is. They hyped up the game so much. Obviously, those games need to be hyped up big time. So obviously, the game was we were expecting a fully finished, fully polished game. It wasn't. I think it's just a matter of timing. And the game, how long has it been now? Has it been about a year? Has it been a year and a half or 1 year since Anthem got released?
I'll double check for you. I think it's 2018.
I think it's been a year and a half right now. So
let's check it.
Yeah, it's January 2019, so it's been about a year and a half. Yeah,
a year and a half. Okay, so I know because I lost the game. I was like, I'm big into the game. I actually have a tattoo of Anthem of the 4 classes. I love the symbology. I love what the game is trying to tell. The issue is that the game is not as polished as it should have been. It's like Destiny. Destiny at the start was not polished. The Division was not polished. World of Warcraft was not polished. And right now, those games are flying. Those games are good. And I think there is some people said that Anthem did not have have like a space between like the Division and Destiny. They were kind of like taking over everything on the market. I think it does have a space. Because who doesn't like to be a freaking Iron Man with weapons and flying and killing monsters? Like, I want to look like that. It does have a market. It shares the market with the Division players and Destiny players. It does share a market because it's like, if you combine the both of the games and you put them together and they have a baby, they have Anthem. I kind of got on and on with Anthem. That's not the point. But yeah, the thing I would say, Anthem kind of like it was a flop due to in my opinion, to the timing. Sorry, Batman, you can carry on. I apologize.
Yeah, that was the issue, especially like it doesn't matter the timing because EA is such a big company; they should have known better.
I disagree with you.
They should have. They should have. They're really like.
I disagree with you there.
Especially because of the, there's all the games they had before that. They've seen like how Destiny launched. They've seen how, they've seen how Warframe launched.
Yeah, but then you would not get this game out. That's the problem. If you keep holding the game back, you're never gonna get it out. And what I said before, you don't say it. Why? Because there is 200 people trying it. 200 people. Your developers. It's not out in the world. It's not out in the open. When there is a kid that literally spends 15 hours a day playing games and finds out how to exploit everything in your game. And that goes out in the wild,
for me personally, that shows actually. I get your point to a certain extent that you want to get the game out, but it also shows to me that they didn't really care for the product and didn't really beta test it. Because there is a reason for closed beta tests. There is a reason that play testers are employed. It's not just the employees who test the game in the studio. These companies have a vast amount of play testers under their wing who do nothing but play video games, find bugs and exploit and report them back so they can be fixed. And I think they floundered on that big time.
To a few thousands, isn't it? I mean, it's not out in the open where everyone can try. Even though those people might be beta testers, those games are not out in the open. That's what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like it's a closed group of people.
Yeah,
and it's not in the massive, in the open with everyone, trying different things. And because at the end of the day, it's a closed group of people. So.
Yeah, but the issue with Anthem wasn't really like whether it was broken or exploitable. The issue with Anthem was that there was just so little to play at launch.
Yeah, but you don't really see that, don't you?
Well, you
kind of feel like there is a ton of things to do. I mean, you play Destiny, but you don't really have like a group where you're going on and you're playing it day after day after day with your group, even though you have the playtest on everything. But I don't think that is found. You don't find that until you throw it out in the open. And
that there isn't enough content, that you have just one raid. That's
exactly,
not enough.
I don't know. Like, honestly, then you also have like a road path. Obviously you're gonna have like your roadmap with more things coming out and weapons and stuff like that. So obviously I kind of like think that these games have it the most difficult. It is one of those, in my opinion, that you know it's not their fault. It's just that it's way too difficult to
No,
kind of
I
like.
I fully blame EA here, just because they didn't plan this well enough. They just saw it's like, oh, this like multiplayer squad based train. It's like, oh, we should do something like that, and essentially just pawned it off to BioWare. Or like, show them Destiny, show them whatever. It's like, make one of these. And it's like, I'm not saying like BioWare did like a extremely bad job. Like what's in the game, like the gameplay feels like good to play, but there isn't just enough what was there at launch. Then the roadmap just fell apart, and now players are waiting for Anthem 2.0, which is just dead silent.
It's that silent because I think they just put their head down and they got to work. They got to work
Yeah.
because those games don't only. That's that. My whole point is that the games can't, like, they get pushed out in the open. I mean, I'm not trying to say, I'm not defending them, or I'm not defending EA. I'm not defending anyone else. But at the end of the day, you can be like, developers say, that's actually not my word. Those are the actual developers. They say we could be beta testing the game for 10 years, 15 years if we wanted to, because there's always something new. You could be doing something new always, every single time. They could have the games testing for years and years and years. If you tell a developer studio, create a game like an evolving world AAA game, blah blah, whatnot. That's your budget. At some point, they're gonna come back to you and they're gonna ask you for more budget. Secondly, they're gonna ask you for more time, and you're probably going to end up pushing the game back 3-4 times at least.
I think
but see, it's like sorry, just completely, because we're getting off track. Because my point wasn't like about testing or anything. The point is they released essentially a product that wasn't all there, and they should have known better.
My point about testing was that it's not about the time or amount you better test it, but how thorough you are. Obviously, you can test something for years and years and years and add more features and more features and more features and then scrap everything and start anew. We already had that with Duke Nukem Forever. That's not the point. The point is to stay on track on your set parameters you have for your game, because you have to have an outline for the game. You know what you want to do. Anthem was destined to be, let's say, just like this, a Destiny and Division killer. So you basically had your framework already laid out. You just had to look at Destiny and at the Division and just take that and make it your own.
Yeah. So it's like, sorry, just want to clarify that. When we were talking, because I was more my comments were more on Destiny, Anthem, than Crucible.
Don't my Destiny.
Yeah, because with Crucible, it was just pushed out too early into the wild.
Yeah,
it needed way more time in the oven.
Yeah, and kind of my point was that it is, those games could be, being tested for ages and ages and ages.
Yeah, but
at some point, I kind of like get the point. It should have been released kind of like beta tests instead of
before you release a game, have an open beta test and collect the feedback. Because, for example, one of the many complaints I've seen when it comes to Crucible, not Anthem, Crucible, is that the weapon handling is really bad.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
And this is something you can easily find out with a beta test, with an open beta test.
Yeah, and it kind of kills the whole, hype of the game as well. Like,
why does when the majority of the people say the weapon handling is bad, kill the vibe of the game. I think if a weapon or weapons handle poorly and feel really bad to shoot with, doesn't matter what the reason is, if the reload time is too long, or if they feel like pea shooters, or if they don't sound punchy enough, whatever. This is something you can find out in a beta test, and this is something you can easily fix, even with the damage values. Because if you say, okay, we need to up the damage value for the weapons so the mobs get killed faster, the enemies on the field, okay, you can mitigate that a little bit differently by dropping down the player's health, or giving the mobs a bigger damage output as well. You can balance these things out fairly quickly.
Yeah, because it's like it's the same way, like because when you see like how a good shooter feels compared to how like a middle of the road shooter feels. It's like usually like for shooters, depending on what you're going for, you want for like really punchy weapons, short kill times, or if you're going for a RPG route, you kind of need to find a middle road because you can't have short kill times because it's an RPG, you want to progress. But at the same time, it's like my issue, like that's why I didn't like weapons in the first Mass Effect, because they all sound just like a blender. And the enemies are just, especially on the higher difficulties, they're just bullet sponges, and it doesn't feel great. Same with Borderlands. It's like some of the enemies and guns I just don't feel fun to play with, and it can be easily tweaked. And like Crucible had that issue, from what I've seen. People were just like, yeah, this doesn't feel just fun to play, especially when it comes to gunplay.
I know that sometimes Bam and I can be pretty harsh on games, but let's say I'm on his camp when it comes to Borderlands, and say the weapons just don't feel good for me in this instance. But I see that millions others think otherwise. So, this is okay. Then I just don't play the game and move on. But in Crucible, the majority of people who played it said the weapons don't feel good, so you have an issue there. Just have one.
I kind of feel like it just happens with these kind of games. It's a bit difficult to you kind of like you're trying to build up a hype within your game to you try to avoid the beta testing. So many games don't do it. So many games don't do the beta testing because they don't.
Yeah, and it's I think it's bad that they don't do beta testing, because then what we get is broken games, and these games fail, and it's like I still like I because I'm an ancient person. I lived through the time where there were no patches on consoles, like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, GameCube, whatever. We didn't have patches, and like you had to test the game. You had to make sure that the game works, and if it didn't work, it was just like, well, I'm getting a refund. And I think it made developers lazy when even consoles got patches.
And here is another opinion I just want to throw out there. Hype culture in video games needs to die.
Yeah,
and fast.
Yeah. I want to say that as well. That I think the idea of that cloud or this hype train should sell your game. I think that's where also we get a lot of backlash in gaming, because you get essentially sold a game just through this fake hype where it's like people are talking about it, and some people just buy games because it's like, oh, I see like a lot of people talking about it, I'll just get it. And then it's like, oh, it's like it's not really my thing.
The thing about the backlash, I actually watched a very interesting video about it this morning. There is a YouTube channel called The Knowledge Hub, and they put out videos. And it was specifically about the E3, but I think this is a larger point about hype culture in video games in general, and a very good point what he made. He said these announcements during E3 are nothing but hype, and false hype at that, because it's based on promises you can never fulfill. Because if you tell someone, especially if you hype up an announcement, if you tell someone, hey dude, tomorrow you get a gift, an amazing gift, so the announcement, and then your fantasy goes wild. You imagine the gift to be a puppy, but the next day you get a toaster. What will you be? Disappointed. This is why hype culture just needs to go away.
That's not gonna go away. That is
and it's
whether
really
we like
sad.
it or not. Let's be truthful. That's the way how you build up your sales. Like basically, that is the first, because my previous job, we kind of did something similar. When you kind of like build a little bit of hype and you like see how your socials, how your reach has gone, and then you build a prediction of that.
And that's the
why
thing.
they use these kind of things, because they build a prediction. With that prediction that they build, they can adjust their budgets and they can kind of like guess, quote unquote, because obviously that's not a definite number, but they kind of and guess how is the return of investment going to be.
And that's the thing. And that's why the Sony executive probably was right that these types of games that need that hype train are not viable anymore, or not viable in long term.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, usually, you spend about as much as you spend on the development just to market the game.
And
absurd.
To
the game big time.
And that's absurd if you need to spend that much just to make sure the game's out there. Because imagine, when you think to 1995, where I think it was or like the 90s, say how Doom was sold. Doom was sold through phone orders. It's like one of the most influential games still to this day.
Yep.
And there was essentially zero marketing. Like all was just word of mouth, and word of mouth still works. Like you saw, like even smaller titles like Undertale. Like everyone knows Undertale, and that never got like a major marketing. People know stuff like Sunless Skies, Sunless Sea, games that people spread through word of mouth, through either like people make YouTube videos, forum threads, Reddit boards. It still works. And I think it's mostly like now this like big hype culture marketing is still aimed at consoles, because I don't know why they think that people will not talk about games.
The other thing is that, to come back to our initial topic called Crucible, I just tried to reel back the discussion a little bit, guys. What I could have imagined working for Crucible very well. There is this one game mode, Heart of the Swarm, Heart of the whatever, Heart of the Hive, which was received actually quite well. To just get back in a general point, and to hammer home my point also on beta testing. If they would have had an open beta test, just to get the hype, everything out of the system, they would have pretty easily found out what they had also after release. So, what they could have done is, they could have concentrated just on this one game mode, scrap the other two like they do now, make the game a smaller, more focused release, like Warcraft, like Destiny, like The Division, and then build on that. I think this, and this is also what the Sony executive is trying to say, this might be the way to go forward, and it should be the way to go forward. Don't fall for hype culture. Try to build a reasonably scaled experience for your players. Think about how you can expand it. Release a part of your product that is in shape, in form, and can be played for a certain amount of time, and then after release start building on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like Fortnite did it. Fortnite released a part of the game and has been building on it for years now. So yeah, and yeah, that's the thing as well about it. They should have tested, but at the same time also recognize, oh, this is not fit for release yet, to be out in the wild. Like I miss demos, because demos usually would give you an idea, but also would serve as a feedback, because sometimes like games change wildly between demos. Recently, like I recalled how I played, it was Need for Speed Most Wanted demo, which was wildly different. Like it had even different game modes to that of the final version.
And just to go on, and just to round up and go to the Atari VCS.
Oh yeah.
I want Crucible. It's not like that I'm happy it unreleased or failed. I actually want it to succeed. I want this game to come out better than it is now. And here, this is why this is all so very important. And this feedback is very important. Please, if you give developers your feedback, keep it. Don't insult them or
Don't
make
threaten.
don't threaten. Yes, respectful feedback. If you do that, if you don't like a product, make your voice heard. This is very important, but it's also important to do it very respectfully, because after all, these people still worked on it. They might have lost their way, or the plot along the way. That happens. It happens to me. It happens to everyone. Just tell them what you don't like and give them valuable feedback. They need it to make a better product. And I hope Crucible, I personally doubt it, but it's another story. I personally hope that Crucible can, if they release the game again, make a comeback and be a good game. This is all I want. I just want good games. And I hope Crucible can be a good game.
And definitely, I mean, the more good games we get, the better. And that's always been a thing. It's like it's like that's another part of gaming culture. It's like, I don't think anybody should want a game to fail, but what we should all want is just more good games. And not just, pile onto whatever just because.
Yeah.
Just don't be vitriolic. Just be reasonable, but at the same time, make developers strive to be better. Yeah. It's like don't be afraid to call out, whatever you think is wrong with a game, but always be respectful.
Absolutely. That's what we always say. If you're giving feedback, just try to be respectful and constructive.
Yeah.
Constructive was what I was searching for. Thank you.
Yeah. Give a bit of constructive criticism, because it's always that's always helpful. Developers, believe it or not, they're human beings, and they make mistakes, just like everyone else. Newsflash.
Exactly.
Moving on.
Atari VCS. Another great topic to discuss. Bum Bum.
Yeah. So Atari VCS 800 was a Indiegogo campaign by Atari to produce one of those NES, SNES, Sega Genesis mini type consoles, where you would have built in about 100 games from Atari, their legacy collection, their old arcade machines, and 26 5200 consoles games as well. And they met their goal. They raised about $3 million on their Indiegogo in 2018. Mm-hmm. And then it just kept getting worse. They had delayed their console by a year. Then they opened pre-orders for their console, which wasn't out yet, and they didn't have any At the time, they still had no prototypes either. They just had like concept, and they were selling it. I think they're still selling it because I think GameStop's listing it for $380 at the moment, which is about the price of like a PS4 Pro, and it's about a quarter of the processing power of PS4 Pro. The thing is, the games on console, you can get them on at least, definitely on PC, I checked, you can get them for like about 10 quid. All the games on console, you can get them for 10 quid on PC, so you don't even need a machine. Then their, I think it was the technical lead and one of the main designers of the console left the company because they wouldn't give them extra money to think, because they wanted to build a Linux-based operating system. They didn't allow them to do that, so it's running like a bootleg, weird virtual Windows machine. I think they showed it on GDC 2020. They showed it playing Fortnite because it's essentially like a small computer. But the thing was, it's running a virtual machine, so it shows like license your Windows in the corner where they're playing Fortnite on it. They also said it was gonna have like these apps for Hulu, Netflix, and stuff like that. It doesn't have apps, it just opens the web browser versions of these players. So there is a thing where they show it play Netflix, and in the corner there is a notification you get when your Google Chrome crashes. So it works, and you can definitely pre-order it at GameStop for $380 if you really want to. Yeah, there was mismanagement in there. I think there's still information coming out of it. And I think the tech lead that left is supposed to give like an interview as well. So we'll probably get back onto it once we get more of this juicy information. But yeah, Atari is doing a lot of stuff as well, because on top of like this disaster, they're trying to come up with their own Bitcoin. It's Atari Coin.
Oh yeah.
And they want to make it like a standard within the game industry. And apparently you can use it for their casino games as well. Good for you, Atari. But yeah, that's probably all the info I got at this point. I think because it's still coming out, like there's a stream of information coming out about this whole crapshoot. So we'll get more. I might come back to like next week or the week after, just like with a slew of new information.
Yeah, but this sounds like a disaster in the making.
It's been in making for the last 2 years, and it's still going strong.
I mean, the best part is like, hey, you can use these apps. Let's open the browser.
Yeah, it's like.
So, what they are essentially doing at this point, if you want, I know most people are not that tech savvy and just want a shiny thing to buy and make it great or whatever. But like, if I buy a Raspberry Pi, I get the same.
Yeah, you're better off. Essentially, like I've seen a lot of people call this the new Ouya, and everybody loved Ouya. So, yeah.
I think Ouya, even the Ouya, did fare better in the end than this will, because then I mean 380 really for that.
Yeah.
Just buy a goddamn Raspberry Pi, guys. Please do yourself the favor. It's really easy to use.
Yeah, it's probably gonna play Fortnite better than the Atari VCS anyway.
That seems like a fair right off the bat, man. I don't know. I mean, it might come up with something great. Who knows?
I just look.
Why are you laughing when I say? I honestly, I don't know. Wait,
imagine.
Wait and see.
Imagine them announcing their killer application. They are going to re-release an HD version of E.T.
You know, a hot take: E.T. wasn't that bad. It was just really cryptic. I think what they should do is get the culling origins on VCS just to complete the
circle. I don't think your hot take isn't that off, But like, if you make games too cryptic, then you have, in the end, people who don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm one of those people who enjoys La Mulana. So I think it wasn't as like that cryptic. And if you notice, like La Mulana is a.
Yeah, I know what.
I'm just gonna say it's like a Metroidvania games that are like with puzzles that make you go way deep into the game, and some of them can be super cryptic. So yeah, so that's like I enjoy those games. So ET wasn't as bad, but then again, I come into it like as a, as about almost 30-year-old, knowing what I'm getting myself into. I can imagine someone getting like, it's my first game back in like the early 80s, being like, yeah, this isn't great.
Yeah, so the Atari VCR situation is still unfolding.
Yeah.
If you are someone who loves a good dumpster fire, there you go. It's all in the making.
Yeah, it's like it's like a a train crash in slow motion. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, and then we'll see who picks up the pieces.
I think it's gonna be great.
I think that's way too optimistic even for you.
Well, I think I don't know. It might be good. I don't know. Hopefully it's great.
I'm gonna just pity the people who spent like the money on the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo campaign.
I don't know. I'm always trying to be, as positive as I can be.
Maybe
it sounds kind of like bad, but I hope they can like maybe turn it around. You know how these things go. They might say one thing, and all of a sudden, midway through, the creation, everything changes.
But maybe you're still onto something here, Val, and that thing will be the greatest console in history.
Maybe.
It might surprise us all. It might pack a GTX 2080 and we don't know it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that then it might be worth it to buy it because it's cheaper than buying GTA 2080.
Let's hope they do well. What's next on the?
I mean, we can cut it here because that's everything we had.
What about Destiny? We forgot about Destiny. I want Destiny.
Then let's go about Destiny.
Let's go about Destiny. What's on Destiny? Why you're laughing when I love Destiny, man. I think Bungie should pay me to talk about Destiny.
No, you said it's like we forgot about Destiny. I'm like, everyone forgot about Destiny.
Everyone forgot about Destiny. Don't leave me hanging. So yeah, Destiny. We got a moment of triumph, who just got released on last week. So we got a brand new moments of triumph, which will allow you, if you get your moments of triumph, you get your 13 or 15 achievements on the moments of triumph. Destiny and Bungie will let you buy a t-shirt. You don't earn it. They will let you buy if you complete it. That's funny, but so basically it's a typical not strategy, but it's a typical thing of Destiny. The t-shirt cost you $7,777,777. So it's kind of like the seven all over the place on the t-shirt. So obviously, if you do your moments of triumph, you'll get a code. You use that code at checkout on that t-shirt, and obviously it's not going to cost you 7 million because the t-shirt is not worth 7 million. So basically, what's gonna do is going to reduce the price at the actual, Bungie price, which is gonna be about 20-25 bucks, the usual. You got the option of adding your.
I just thought of someone actually dropping the 7 million on it. It's like seems like a fair price.
Yeah. So I can't. Yeah, obviously, it goes to charity. I don't mind the penny. Like as long as it's the Bungie Foundation, which helps with St. Jude's kids. If you want to go and drop the 7 million, go ahead because that money is gonna be well spent. Also, you got the option of adding your name onto the side of the t-shirt, which is gonna have the badge and your name on it as well. which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, they do it every single year. It's kind of like the end of the year celebration. You it's the what have you done on Destiny? What have you achieved on Destiny? And they compile everything into one section, and yeah, they give you the challenges, they give you the goals, and then you go and get everything, and you are able to buy your t-shirt. Also, there is a title. So obviously, if you get your moments of triumph title, you kind of like can show off a little bit and with other Destiny players because you will have a title under your name. Also, apart from that, we had a new weapon, which is I had it here just a second ago. The new weapon is Ruinous Effigy. It's a new exotic weapon, which is it's got a new exotic quest, and there is a master work for the weapon, which is hunting the eyes of Sabathun. Sabathun is coming, people, on Beyond Light on the new expansion in September. So she's got 50 eyes. It's a bit difficult to lose 50 eyes though, but she somehow managed to lose 50 eyes, and all 50 eyes are all over the place on all the 50 Sabathun's eyes are all over the place on different destinations. We got like some of them are on Titan, some of them are on Io, and two other planets which are Mars and which one is the other one? It's Mercury. Mercury, which is actually disappearing. I actually called it weeks ago on this podcast. Just go and check them out. I'm gonna put the link somewhere over here. So basically, that I called that it was going to disappear, and it's actually disappearing already. You can see this blowing up. Yeah, we're starting to see the progress on to what's going to happen next on Destiny. It's great to see Destiny moving forward. It's about time the story start moving somewhere, and we're starting to get to see what's going to happen next. Yeah, not only the moments of triumph, not only the exotic. There is another exotic coming soon in a couple of weeks. So we got a bit of the celebration, what we've done, everything we have achieved all up until now, and what we keep moving the story forward on what's to happen in the future. So Beyond Light is shaping up to be an absolutely brilliant new expansion on Destiny. Yeah, exciting times on Destiny. There is always something there's always something new, even though it's not as often as we would like to, but because we consume content a lot faster than they can create it, it is great to see how the new stuff is coming out and how everything is moving. I saw you, Orco, playing Destiny not long ago. I know you're loving it, and you trying to say something about Destiny because you're loving it now and you addicted to Destiny. So
I have played one strike mission, and that's it, so I cannot say much about it.
It's like, test me out.
Batman, have you played any?
I haven't played Destiny since I think like last year.
Not even with the stuff I'm telling you. I don't even get you hyped up.
No.
I need to do something about you. So yeah, there is a bunch of stuff on Destiny happening now. So they kind of like, I don't know why people want to go back to the old system of 2 expansions on the whole year, which I don't think that's no 2 expansions. Yeah, like kind of like 2 big expansions, kind of like throughout the whole year. I don't think that's a good idea to do, to be honest, on Destiny. The season pass and the season system on Destiny, in my opinion, is a lot better and it's dropping content more often, even though it's time gated. You pay for a season pass, which it's time gated, and you have to play throughout the 3 months or the 3 months and a half that the season pass lasts. Well, I don't know. It is, you don't really destroy all the content within 30 minutes, which is great in my opinion, because many people just, basically consume the entire content of the whole expansion within the first hour, 2 hours, and that's about it. The game is over. So it's a good system for me to keep the game alive and keep people coming back. And the more people come back and the more people play, the more players we have on Destiny, and the more people I get to play with, and the more people I get to wreck on the Crucible. Thank you.
That's a wonderful closing word from our friend Lord Val. This was episode 13 of the Orcocast. Thank you for listening, everyone. Guys, where can we find you, Lord Val?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/LordValGaming. I'm also on Twitter, LordValTwitch, and on Instagram, I got LordValGaming as well. And on Facebook, if you want to find me on Facebook as well, LordValGaming, exactly the same handle. I stream on Twitch every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And that's about it.
All right, Bum Bum, where can we find you?
Pretty much nowhere.
Amazing. Moving on. You can find me on twitch.tv/theorcosaurus. I stream there every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And you can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/theorcosaurus, and on Instagram, Orcosaurus, without the "the." Alright. And I bid thee a farewell. And you know the deal. If you liked what you saw, thumb it up. If you didn't like it, thumb it down. We love you, and you all take good care of yourselves. Lord Val, Bum Bum, Orco, signing out. Bye bye.
Bye.
See y'all.